But I think it's just people's way of sort of saying, you must not criticise Meghan.
I think the whole racial question is entirely misleading. It's irrelevant. And I would warn against anybody taking that line as any sort of explanation as to why Meghan sometimes doesn't get the press she necessarily wants.
Even Prince Harry played the racism card to an extent.
Yeah. Fact. Yeah, and I advise strongly against him doing that.
Did you?
Yeah. If you take that point of view, then you're going to miss perhaps some more relevant reasons to why Meghan isn't as popular as she should be.
Here it comes.
For 8 years, Patrick Jeffson was Princess Diana's private secretary. He saw the pressure public scrutiny brings, but says, like Diana did, the modern royals must learn to cope with it.
It's confusing for her, I'm sure. Royal life is very similar to celebrity life, but celebrity lives are earned. Royal lives are granted. Fact.
Coming up,
I am the luckiest girl in the world.
forgotten friends come back to buy. You're just a jilted friend.
I'm not a jilted friend, I promise. I'm not.
And can the ghost of Diana save Harry and Meghan's fractured fairy tale? Meghan doesn't need to look anywhere else but at the legacy of her mother-in-law. That's next on 60 Minutes.
I'm not
What?
I am not dissing the dirt on Meghan, not at all. I'm being honest. As a friend and someone that knew her before Harry, knew her. I didn't even know she was famous when I met her. I didn't know who she was.
And we'll never be royal.
With
You serious?
so-called friends like British media personality Lizzie Cundy, Meghan Markle probably doesn't need enemies. What did you think of her?
I thought
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
she was great fun, looking for a guy. She loved England.
She says they were great buddies before Meghan met Harry.
She said she wanted a boyfriend, she wanted a celebrity boyfriend, and never, in my wildest dreams would I ever think that
You serious?
she would end up marrying Prince Harry.
But when Meghan joined the firm, this Lizzie was dumped in favour of another.
Stop it.
I think Meghan changed to a girl that maybe was more manipulating and doing what Meghan wants to do. I kind of saw a different side.
Come on, you're just a jilted friend.
I'm not a jilted friend,
You
I
are.
promise. I'm not. I'm really not a jilted friend at all. But I feel that they could do things so much better. I don't think you can lecture about the planet and then take 4 private jets. I wanted her to be the next Princess Diana. I think she still can be. Wow! But Princess Diana was about everyone else, and it appears that Meghan is about Meghan a lot of the time.
And here's another problem for Meghan.
Nice.
Could anyone live up to the memory of the mother-in-law from heaven? Princess Diana's former private secretary, Patrick Jeffson, says, in the eyes of the British public, it's an almost impossible task. Wow! But it could be the key to winning Meghan's PR battle.
She was in the business of life and death, of dealing with people regardless of race or gender or fact.
Okay, so he needs somebody to give him specifics on what they did wrong. He needs specifics. And only then will he apologize. I got you, Prince Harry. I got your back.
Yeah, right.
Or here's just a couple off the top of my head, all right? Your wife's a bully. Her former press communications person who worked for both you and your brother, Jason Knopf, is on the record about the bullying she committed against people who were younger than she was, or who are less powerful than she was within the palace, who she made cry all the time.
Are you sure about that?
One of the other people that she apparently made cry was Princess Kate. She told Oprah that Kate made her cry, but now we know from your own book, Harry, that it was Meghan calling Kate A baby brain. It's your baby brain after she gave birth to her third child.
What?
To explain Kate's complaints about Meghan's wedding plans. All right? That's not polite. That is rude, as Prince William later told you in referring to your wife. That has a tendency to make people not like you. Fact. When you have the nerve to comment on their hormones after they just had a baby when you barely know them. Number 2, she's a brat. We know from Dan Wootton's reporting, which is, you can take it to the bank. Dan's reporting. He's got very solid sources. He broke Megxit and he was right.
What?
That she was upset about her tiara. She wanted the one and she couldn't get it because it had some stone that was controversial, etc. And Harry said what Meghan wants, Meghan gets, and the Queen had to reprimand him.
Boy.
That's the kind of story that makes people dislike you, within the royal family and without. Your wife abandoned her entire family. That's another thing, in favor of celebrities at her wedding.
Come on now, dawg.
She cut ties with virtually everybody whose shoulders she had stood on her way up the fame scale, just as soon as she met you.
Why? Why?
Well, that seems a little rude too, kind of disloyal, also annoying. And then what was George Clooney doing at your wedding? You didn't know him. She didn't know him. That's who she had there instead of the sweet cousin or her stepsister, whatever it was, who she had supposedly grown so close to. You said that in your Netflix documentary. She forgot that girl. She ghosted her because apparently she didn't make the grade. Never mind her step-siblings and so on, half-siblings. Your fights with the press. You two look like a couple of whiny babies, and it's been going on for years. And? How many lawsuits have you filed against the Mail and so on? Forget the lawsuits, though. It's your whiny statements about the nasty press. Every single celebrity deals with it. You don't think George Clooney's had negative things written about him? Tom Cruise had negative things written about him. He doesn't use his speeches or his media appearances to whine about the mean media. They say the things that aren't true. We're sick of it. Shut up about your negative press coverage. Does somebody like Beyonce, who you love so much, look for a negative, obscure comment online as representative of her experience with the press and then act like a victim because of it? No.
God, please, no!
No, she doesn't. Because she understands she's had a similar experience to the one that you and your wife had for the vast majority of your time in the public eye. Absolutely fawning media coverage. You're the ones who made it turn.
What is he doing?
You. Not Prince William, not King Charles, not Camilla. You. They've given you fawning coverage. It is the opposite of what you are claiming, and it makes people dislike you. These constant complaints. Okay, here's another one. You're a leaker too. You're upset that the royal family leaks on you. You leak just as much as they do. Boring. You use Omid Scobie, your little stenographer at Harper's Bazaar. You use People magazine. But we all see what you're doing while you claim you have clean hands and you absolutely do not.
How? Hold on, bro. How?
Here's another one. You abandoned the royal family in their greatest time of need. Both of you. You planned Megxit and executed on it. For one thing, when Prince Philip was dying in the hospital, you sat down with Oprah and called the royal family a bunch of racists.
What?
By the way, they now deny that. We'll get to it. You didn't care. And you didn't even have the decency to rule him out or the Queen when you knew he was in the hospital. And very elderly man, your own grandfather. Nope. Still wanted your moment in the sun with the Queen of Montecito. Well, when the actual Queen Elizabeth, your grandma, was in the hospital, you two were sunning yourselves out in California. Everybody on the royal family went out there and upped their royal duties so that she could be rest assured the family still had her back and was representing the royal family, not you two. You were in the midst of your wine-a-thon out there on the West Coast.
So that was a f***ing lie.
You were happy to call her family racist when she was in her last year on Earth. You made the Queen's stress level go up, not down, when she was at her most aged and infirm.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You two both constantly play the victim. That's our number one complaint about you, despite the enormous privileges life has handed you. This is why we can't stand you. And it probably irritated your brother and your father and your mother-in-law too.
Appointment is immeasurable.
Right? You go out on Oprah, you and your wife, and want us to care about what title your kid is going to get or how big your castle is, like you complain about in Netflix. What color designer dresses you were forced to wear in your wife's case.
Here we go again.
Without stopping for 2 seconds to acknowledge the struggles of real people. No one cares about your kids' damn titles, or your tiny castle, or your beige dress.
Okay.
No one feels sorry for you, but you continue asking us to do so. And we're sick of it. Right? Your wife even wanted us to accept her as a Me Too victim, saying she'd been objectified. She was objectified because people looked at her on the set of Deal or No Deal and didn't want her opinion on inflation.
That doesn't make sense.
She was objectified. No good deed goes unpunished. They give her the role of a lifetime. She was a total unknown, put her on national television, gave her beautiful dresses to wear, did her hair and makeup, and all she can remember is, they told me to suck in my stomach and didn't pronounce my name correctly. I was objectified. What the hell do you think a model does? That's what you were on that show. You were a model. People pay to look at you. That's objectification. Deal with it. Or don't. But don't take the money, climb the ladder of success, and then show absolutely no gratitude and complain that you were objectified. Fact. That's why you got a paycheck. You and she both lie. A lot, especially your wife. Oh.
Joined by Candace Owens. Candace, you're our newest colleague here at the Daily Wire. We're excited to have you. My first question is, I know you've only been here for a few days, but who's your favorite coworker here at the Daily Wire?
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
That is a really good question. I'm going to have to go ahead and say the makeup artists.
As long as you didn't say Michael Knowles or one of the other hosts, that's fine. That's what I was worried about. So you got to Tennessee. I talked to you off air last week, and you were talking about your experience driving here with a baby. And I did that with 4 kids, so I know a little bit about that. You've been to Tennessee. Have you assimilated into the culture yet? I mean, the pickup truck, the cowboy boots and all that. Have you done that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was actually the second day at Tennessee. My husband was like, we're doing 2 things. We're going to the gun shop and we're going to go buy a pair of cowboy boots. Gun shop didn't go well because we still have our DC driver's license. So you have to have a Tennessee license to buy a gun. So we still have to wait for that. But it wasn't difficult to assimilate into the culture because I think actually that was my culture. Like, I'm conservative, right? So I was actually a fish out of water living in DC. Here, I'm like, this is great. Everybody thinks like me. So it's been awesome. I'm just happy to be in the South. It feels like this is where people are sane. And I mean, I guess you can't relate because you weren't in LA, but Daily Wire was in Los Angeles, and it really is the land of the living dead.
Are you serious?
Doing LA, New York, and DC.
Yeah. I was living in Pennsylvania. You had accused me of living in Canada. So that was, you'd spread a rumor online that I lived in Canada.
The internet spread that rumor, and I believed it.
The internet spread it because you said it. So
it was QAnon stuff. It was like Matt Walsh lives in Canada, and I fell for it. I don't know. The internet's a dangerous place.
To this day, the worst insult anyone has ever leveled at me is being a Canadian. So I want to talk about your show. We'll talk about your show in a minute, but first, just to go over some of the stuff happening in the news, want to get your thoughts on a few of it. I guess we have to begin with the royal family because that's what everyone's talking about. I know you've been
very vocal.
You've been on top of it. So I have two questions, and the first one is a serious question because I really am hoping you can shed some light on this. Why does anyone care about these god-awful people? So we'll start with that. Why do you think people care that much?
Wait for it.
So I have to say, I never had an appreciation for the royals, right? It's something that Americans don't really jive with. It never made sense to me. But I fell in love and married an Englishman, right? And so I kind of learned to appreciate the significance of the Queen.
Oh my God!
And really understanding that there's been something in their country that has remained solid and has not changed over time. Difficult for Americans to comprehend because we don't really do tradition. We're kind of like tear it down, old building, turn it down, tear it down, build something new, tear it down, build something new. So that's the reason I think that people follow the royals. Now, I don't care at all for the Harry and Meghan thing, except for the political undertones of somebody saying, I'm not liked, therefore it's because I'm 25% black.
That doesn't make sense.
Like that stuff bothers me, whether it's, we're talking about Democrats saying it, we see that pollution all throughout Hollywood. So this Hollywood star going into a country that really sort of loves its tradition.
Okay.
and then accusing them of being fundamentally racist. It's just like, let's keep the American BS race narrative at least within the bounds of America. Let's not extend it overseas to Europe, because they have a different culture there. They've been around much longer. You know, England never had slaves. Fact. In its country. And by the way, in terms of worldwide slavery, the Englishmen were the first to abolish it. So she's sort of relying on America.